My dear friends, the plain fact that you're here right now, reading these words, isn't chance. I call it divine timing. Consciousness, you see, is the only reality that exists, and your being here in this moment is a direct expression of your own readiness for change. Let me walk you through the law governing every act of manifestation. It's called the law of assumption, and it operates with mathematical precision. The simple fact that you've crossed paths with this message is a seed already planted in the garden of your own consciousness, waiting to bloom into the fullest expression of the reality you desire. Now let me tell you what I actually mean by big change. Many of you probably picture external circumstances, a new job, a relationship, some material win. But I tell you this, the biggest change, the only change that genuinely matters, is the change happening inside your consciousness. Because once your consciousness shifts, the outer world has no option but to fall in line with your new assumption. The book of John tells us, "In the beginning was the Word." That word, Logos, is your consciousness, your very awareness of being. And just as you've been pulled toward this message by the magnetic draw of your own expanding consciousness, your world will reshape itself to match this new understanding too. Think about it this way. Everything in your world, every circumstance, every condition, every person playing a part in your life story is nothing more than yourself, pushed outward. They're all states of consciousness you have occupied, are currently occupying, or will one day occupy. The fact that this message has reached you is your higher self signaling that you're ready to step into a new state. Let me tell you about what I call the law of divine timing. Ecclesiastes tells us, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." Your presence here, your awareness of these words right now, is that divine timing playing out in real time. It's your own spiritual awakening, calling you toward a higher state of consciousness. Now let's really understand what preparation actually means when it comes to consciousness. Most people think preparation involves external action, but I tell you, true preparation is a movement that happens entirely within consciousness. It's the art of assuming the feeling of your wish already fulfilled, before a single scrap of outer evidence has appeared. Scripture tells us, "Before they call, I will answer." This is the perfect law, operating exactly as it should. Your desire for change, your readiness for transformation, has already been answered. The very fact that this message found you is the answer arriving before your call. Let me tell you about what I call conscious preparation. When you go to bed at night, do you prepare it first? Of course you do. You arrange your pillows, straighten the sheets. Well, I tell you this, just as you prepare your bed for sleep, you must prepare your own consciousness for the manifestation of your desires. But remember, this preparation isn't about doing, it's about being. It isn't about making things happen, it's about assuming the consciousness of it already being done. Scripture says, "Be still, and know that I am God." This stillness isn't physical stillness. It's the stillness of knowing that what you desire already belongs to you. Now let me share what I call the art of spiritual navigation. Just as a ship's captain has to read the stars to cross vast oceans, you have to read the signs inside your own consciousness to navigate the waters of manifestation. This message crossing your path is exactly such a sign, a celestial marker pointing you toward your own divine destiny. Genesis tells us, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to be for signs." These signs aren't external phenomena, they're states of consciousness. That very stirring inside you that drew you to this message is one such sign. It's your I am consciousness, recognizing itself in a higher state. Let's explore what I call the law of conscious recognition. Once you genuinely understand that consciousness is the only reality, you begin to recognize that everything, every person, every circumstance, every event, is yourself, pushed outward. This message you're receiving right now isn't separate from you. It's you, speaking to yourself from a higher state of consciousness. Think about your dreams at night. Every character, every scene, every line of dialogue is you. You're both the author and the actor of your own dream. In the same way, in this waking dream we call life, every experience is you, externalized. Recognizing this truth is the very first step toward conscious creation. Now let me tell you about what I call the principle of imminent transformation. When water hits its boiling point, it doesn't gradually turn into steam. The transformation is immediate. In the same way, once your consciousness reaches its point of readiness, transformation doesn't happen gradually. It's instantaneous. Your presence here signals you're approaching exactly this point. Let's dig deeper into what I call mental transformation. Romans tells us, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." This renewal isn't about layering new thoughts on top of old patterns. It's about completely rewriting your own conception of yourself and your world. Consider that when a caterpillar enters its chrysalis, it doesn't simply sprout wings. It fully dissolves before reforming as a butterfly. That's the true nature of real transformation. The changes coming into your life require this same kind of dissolution. Old patterns of thinking, old assumptions about what's even possible, have to break down first. Let me tell you about what I call the principle of conscious dissolution. Before any major change can manifest in your world, you have to be willing to let your old self dissolve completely. The very fact that this message reached you is a sign you're ready for exactly this kind of dissolution. Corinthians states, "Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye." This change in the twinkling of an eye isn't about clock time, it's about consciousness. When you genuinely assume a new state, the transformation happens instantly within consciousness, even if it takes time to fully unfold in the outer world. Now let me explain what I call the law of spiritual momentum. Just like a boulder rolling downhill picks up speed as it goes, once you begin this transformation inside your consciousness, it generates its own momentum. Your old world has to crumble to make space for the new, the same way an eggshell has to crack for the bird inside to emerge. Let's understand what I call the law of divine timing. Some of you might be asking, why now? Why this particular message? Why these specific changes? I tell you, in the realm of consciousness, there's no such thing as accident or coincidence. The timing is perfect, precisely because your own consciousness decreed it so. Ecclesiastes tells us, "He hath made everything beautiful in his time." That he is your own wonderful human imagination, your own I am consciousness. Your imagination has orchestrated this exact moment of recognition, this divine appointment with your higher self. Consider what I call the principle of spiritual readiness. Just as fruit ripens on its own schedule, your consciousness ripens for specific revelations and transformations at exactly the right moment. The very fact this message has reached you is proof of your own spiritual ripeness for the changes now coming. Let me share a profound truth I call the law of conscious selection. In a garden, you wouldn't plant seeds before the soil was properly prepared. In the same way, the divine within you wouldn't have brought you to this message until your consciousness was already prepared to receive and act on it. Now understand what I call the principle of imminent manifestation. When a woman is pregnant, there comes a point where birth is unavoidable. No amount of denial or resistance can stop it. In the same way, once a transformation has been conceived in consciousness, its manifestation becomes inevitable. The changes headed into your life work exactly this way. They've already been conceived in the womb of your consciousness. Recognizing this message is your very first contraction, a signal that birth is now imminent. Let me tell you about what I call the law of conscious recognition. Matthew tells us, "When ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors." This seeing isn't physical sight, it's spiritual recognition. Your recognizing the significance of this message is your spiritual eye opening to just how close your transformation actually is. Consciousness follows a pattern of unfolding that I call the principle of spiritual gestation. Just as a child develops in the womb according to a perfect design, your manifestation develops inside consciousness according to divine order. This message is the signal that your own spiritual gestation is nearing its completion. Now let's understand what I call the law of conscious authority. Many of you probably feel like change happens to you, that you're at the mercy of external circumstances. But I tell you this, you are the operating power. You're the one giving life to every single circumstance through your own consciousness. Job tells us, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." This decree isn't made with your lips, it's made in consciousness. Your presence here, receiving this message, is itself a decree made in the deepest part of your own being. Consider what I call the principle of divine orchestration. Every event in your life, every circumstance, every encounter is orchestrated by your own wonderful human imagination. There's no such thing as accident in consciousness. Your encounter with this message is a deliberate orchestration by your own higher self. The changes coming into your life aren't random. They're the perfect unfolding of your own conscious creation. When water hits a certain temperature, it doesn't slowly become steam. It transforms instantly. Consciousness works the same way, with points of intensity where transformation becomes unavoidable. Your presence here marks exactly such a point of intensity. Revelation tells us, "Behold, I make all things new." This making new isn't a gradual process. It's an instant assumption of a new state. The very intensity of your recognizing this message is the heat turning the water of your old consciousness into the steam of your new state. Now let me tell you about what I call the principle of conscious acceleration. When a rocket reaches escape velocity, it breaks free of Earth's gravitational pull. Your consciousness operates the same way. There's a point where your new assumptions build enough momentum to break free from old patterns entirely. Consider what I call the law of spiritual velocity. How fast your transformation manifests is directly tied to the intensity of your assumption. The very fact that you're receiving this message with real understanding shows you've already reached the spiritual velocity needed for transformation. Isaiah states, "For as the rain cometh down, and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth and bud. This is the perfect law of consciousness in operation. Once a new state has been assumed, it must produce after its own kind. Let me tell you about what I call the principle of divine inevitability. Plant a seed in fertile soil, and its growth becomes inevitable. Your consciousness is that fertile soil, and this message is the seed of transformation being planted right into it. The Gospel of Thomas, left out of the Standard Bible, tells us, "When you make the two one, you will become the sons of man." Making the two one is the marriage of your present consciousness with the state you desire, and this message is the bridge connecting them. What I call the principle of spiritual bridging is operating right now, in this very moment. Every word reaching you is forming a bridge between your current state and the state you're being called into. This isn't coincidence, it's conscious selection at work. Now understand what I call the law of divine timing. Many of you might wonder, why this message? Why now? I tell you this. In the realm of consciousness, timing isn't measured by clocks or calendars, but by spiritual readiness. Your presence here is the evidence of that readiness. Ecclesiastes states, "He hath made everything beautiful in his time," that he is your own wonderful human imagination, your own I am consciousness. It has orchestrated this exact moment of recognition, this divine appointment with your higher self. Consider what I call the principle of conscious convergence. Just as several streams converge into one mighty river, multiple states of consciousness are converging right now to create the perfect conditions for your transformation. This message is the point of that convergence. Let me tell you about what I call the law of spiritual momentum. Once a boulder starts rolling downhill, it builds its own momentum. In the same way, once you begin this transformation in consciousness, it creates its own momentum. Your recognizing this message is the initial push that gets the boulder rolling. Exodus tells us, "Let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them." This sanctuary isn't a physical structure, it's a state of consciousness. Your recognizing this message is the beginning of building that very sanctuary. What I call the principle of spiritual architecture is at work here. Just as an architect first sees the completed building in his mind before any physical construction begins, you have to see your transformed state in consciousness before it can manifest in your world. Now let me share what I call the law of conscious assumption. Many people think preparation means taking physical action, but I tell you, true preparation happens entirely within consciousness. It's the art of assuming the feeling of your wish already fulfilled, before any outer evidence shows up. Hebrews states, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." This substance isn't physical, it's consciousness itself. Your faith in the significance of this message is the very substance your transformation will be molded from. Consider what I call the principle of divine sequence. Just as a flower has to form a bud before it can bloom, your transformation follows a divine sequence. This message is the bud, and your recognizing its significance is the beginning of it blooming. Let me tell you about what I call the law of spiritual gestation. Just as a child develops in the womb according to a perfect pattern, your transformation develops inside consciousness according to divine order. This message marks the start of a new gestation period within your own consciousness. Acts tells us, "These that have turned the world upside down are come hither also." This turning upside down isn't physical. It's a total revolution inside consciousness. Your encounter with this message marks the beginning of your own conscious revolution. What I call the principle of spiritual inversion is at work here. Just as a photographic negative has to be inverted to produce a positive image, your current state has to be inverted to manifest your desired state. This message is the catalyst driving that inversion. Now let me tell you about what I call the law of conscious precipitation. Just as water vapor has to reach a certain point of saturation before it can fall as rain, your consciousness has to reach a point of saturation with your desired state before it can manifest. This message is accelerating your own conscious saturation. Joel states, "I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh." This pouring out isn't something external. It's the overflow of your own consciousness once it reaches the point of saturation. Your presence here, receiving this message, is a sign you're approaching exactly that point. Consider what I call the principle of divine acceleration. As a rocket approaches escape velocity, it has to burn more fuel. In the same way, as you approach your own point of transformation, you need more spiritual fuel. This message is that fuel, intensifying your conscious acceleration. Let me tell you about what I call the law of spiritual criticality. Just as water has to reach a critical temperature to become steam, consciousness has to reach a critical state before transformation can occur. Your recognizing this message as significant is a sign you're approaching exactly that critical state. Daniel tells us, "And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament." This shining isn't physical light. It's the crystallization of your new state within consciousness. Your presence here marks the beginning of exactly this crystallization. What I call the principle of spiritual solidification is at work here. Just as a solution has to reach supersaturation before crystals can form, your consciousness has to reach a point of supersaturation with your desired state before it can crystallize into physical reality. This message is catalyzing exactly that supersaturation. Now understand what I call the law of conscious momentum. Many believe change requires constant effort, but I tell you this: once consciousness reaches a certain velocity, it generates its own momentum. Your recognizing this message shows you've reached exactly this critical velocity. Isaiah states, "For as the rain cometh down, and returneth not void." This isn't talking about physical rain. It's talking about the rain of consciousness. Once your consciousness has been saturated with a new state, it must manifest, the same way rain must fall from saturated clouds. Consider what I call the principle of divine multiplication. Just as a tiny seed holds within it the pattern for an entire forest, your current recognition holds within it the pattern for your complete transformation. This message is that seed being planted in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Let me tell you about what I call the law of spiritual chain reaction. Just as one atomic reaction can trigger a whole cascade of further reactions, one shift in consciousness can trigger a cascade of transformations. Your encounter with this message is setting off exactly this spiritual chain reaction. Let me share one final law with you, what I call the law of conscious culmination. Revelation tells us, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." This door isn't physical, it's the door of your own consciousness. And this message is that knock. calling you to open yourself to your own transformation. Your presence here isn't just another moment ticking by. It's what I call the point of divine convergence. Everything in your life has been building toward this exact moment of recognition. Every experience, every challenge, every triumph has been preparing your consciousness for this transformation. Your presence here, your recognizing the significance of these words, is itself the proof that you're ready. The changes aren't coming, they're already here. The transformation isn't approaching, it's happening right now, inside your consciousness, where all creation truly begins. So I say to you, the sign you've been waiting for isn't coming, it's already here. The preparation you need isn't somewhere off in the future, it's now. The state you're meant to occupy isn't distant, it's immediate. Because consciousness is the only reality there is, and inside consciousness, everything is eternally present. Take this moment now to feel how natural your transformed state already is. Feel its reality, feel its completeness, because in consciousness, it is already done. And now I tell you this. Sleep tonight in the assumption that everything I've told you is true, not because I said it, but because you've recognized it somewhere deep inside your own being. Let this be the night that splits your life into before and after. Because once you truly understand that consciousness is the only reality, you'll know this message wasn't sent to you. It was sent from you, from the very version of you that you're about to become. The door is open. The time is now. The change is here. For that is the law, and that is the promise. This is Neville Lectures. I'll see you again in the next video.